Hello everyone, Jamie Starr here for the New World News Network. On this episode, I want to talk about the Mandela Effect, and more so talk about how the Mandela Effect kind of gives a good way to look at things with some perspective. For those who are unaware, the Mandela Effect is this phenomenon where people are finding things different than they remembered, basically. Like, examples are the Berenstein Bears, actually spelled Berenstein Bears, the Luke, I am your father example. I mean, there's a countless list. And it's very interesting because, I actually met an exchange student from China. Somehow Nelson Mandela got brought up casually in conversation. And he had said, I thought Nelson Mandela died like 10 years ago or so. So people do have these memories of things happening, and so the Mandela Effect is a theory that there's different timelines of reality and we're shifting between them. Now, some people believe it has to do with CERN. There's been conspiracies about the Philadelphia experiment, not Operation High Jump, Philadelphia experiment. There's all these theories about the Vatican having a chronovisor where they can view points in times in the space-time history, teleportation, time travel. And this stuff is all from the 50s, and the Philadelphia experiment is talked about. So we do know the idea of teleportation is completely plausible and possible. Whether you can teleport into different timelines or not, we don't know for sure, but you never know, and that's one of the things. I try to come into things with a more open mind than not, because personally I've experienced things that average science and everything cannot explain, whether it be seeing UFOs, supernatural encounters with ghosts, things just flying across the room, doors slamming, all the typical shit you hear with haunted houses and paranormal UFO sightings and stuff like that. So, and the other thing is, when you do experience that stuff, it does give you a perspective of how small you are and how much there is out there that you cannot wrap your head around because you've been programmed to only see the world within the confines of the box. So, the Mandela Effect, if you're looking at things like that there are these different timelines of reality, and in one reality, things were the Berenstein Bears and the Berenstein Bears or whatever, that's real petty. But it's a good way of looking at things in terms of your conspiracy theories like 9/11. There are theories that no planes went into the towers, that it was holograms, that they were taken down with directed energy weapons, that there was thermite, that the government was involved, that the government was not involved. So if you set all of these up as your different lines of reality, but then you'll see that, at some point, regardless of the differences in between those lines, they all converge at, what was the Iraq and Afghanistan war. They all ended up at the same outcome. Maybe it's the concept, of time being immutable, like you see put forth in the X-Men movies and such. Maybe not. Same thing with this Orlando shooting. I'm very skeptical of the whole thing. So is it a false flag? Is it not a false flag? Was the guy a government operative? Was he a patsy? Was he a radical Islamist? You have all these separate narratives or realities, and then they all converge at the point where it gets twisted around and blamed on the American people and everything like that. So and that's the thing, I don't think it's make or break with a lot of this stuff. And that's the other problem with the Mandela Effect. It's all very petty things, and it really, part of me wonders if it's the fact that the human mind is now connected through the internet into being this sort of mega hive mind where basically everyone can come together and talk about their mistaken recollections of things. It could, and it could just all be a coincidence. It could just be that hundreds and thousands of people remember something slightly different because your brain operates like a supercomputer, and it's, it's processing so much data in ways that we can't even, you can't consciously comprehend. So of course, some of things will get scattered in there. It's basically like how you have to defragment your computer. Sometimes a fragment from over here could get moved around. You misplace a word. We know this. This is why eyewitness testimony is not taken as fact right out. So that's one of the things I think that the Mandela Effect, it's a useful way of looking at things. Do I think it's really going on or not? Doesn't matter. I mean, that's one of the things I think of. Same with the flat Earth. It could be this way. It could not be this way. I think it's all interesting. There's a handful of things flat Earthers bring up that I sort of look at, like the USGS using a flat Earth map as their map. NASA coming and saying they don't know how to get through the Van Allen belts. Like, those are the two big things I latched onto where I said, okay, so the moon missions are all obviously bunk if they're just coming out and saying we don't know how to make living creatures pass out of Earth's orbit. Okay. And then the USGS, why are you using this flat Earth map that everyone thinks is a joke? And why is it the UN's logo? That's the other thing. Whether or not the Earth is actually flat or not, that I'm whatever about. But those three things, and mainly those two, the UN map is whatever. They could just think it's a sick joke. But those are the two things where I look at and I'm like, okay, there's something here. There's something useful that I can take from this, crazy conspiracy. Same with the Mandela Effect. The idea of these different timelines of reality and everything is something you should already be looking at things like when you know the media is lying to you. Yeah, there's a chance what they're saying is true, but there's also a chance it's not. There's a chance it's somewhere in the middle. There's a chance it's completely left field. So you got to be able to kind of discern these and entertain the possibilities of all of it. That's the most important thing. Don't shut down any of these sort of pathways to, what happens next. Look at them all as plausible, because generally it will be the thing you find least likely. So that was my little rant about the Mandela Effect. I think I'm going to start doing more of these little videos where I just kind of talk on a topic rather than covering news issues, and at some point when I can better schedule myself, I'd like to actually do a weekly podcast and all that. But again, this is all still in its sort of building foundations. I do appreciate all the support I'm getting from people, everyone asking why I don't have more followers. It will come with time, that I promise. But again, this is slow moving. We'll get there. Thank you for your support, though, most importantly. I'm getting more followers in a short amount of time than I expected. And this is already, if you look at my music YouTube channel, this is already blowing it out of the water. So I'm really thankful that there are people who do appreciate my perspective and my opinion on these things. So have a good one, everyone. Subscribe, check the links below, check out my new album, echoscaperecords.bandcamp.com. Enjoy your day.